The following presentation is a production of Ride the Wave Media.
Welcome to Let Yourself Bloom, the podcast where motherhood and ambition coexist beautifully. I'm your host, Jen Banks, and in each episode, we'll dive deep into the journey of being more than a mom. Here, we believe that you can love your children deeply and still have room to nurture your own dreams. Picture this, a life where you don't have to choose between career and family, where you can be inspired by stories of women who have boldly stepped into their dual roles. Together, we'll explore how to balance, grow, and thrive in every season of life. Our guests will share their personal stories of finding identity beyond motherhood, proving that you can hold both your family and your ambitions in your heart. We'll talk about the seasons of life, embracing our unique paths, and giving ourselves permission to bloom whenever we're ready. Whether you're a working mom of two or dreaming of a bigger family, whether you're a stay-at-home mom seeking more or a career-driven woman balancing the chaos, this podcast is for you. Listen in and let the stories, advice, and community support you in becoming the fullest version of yourself. Tune in, be inspired, and remember, you are worthy of the same love and care you give to others. Welcome to Let Yourself Bloom. Let's grow together. Hello, welcome to the very first episode of Let Yourself Bloom. I am thrilled that you're here on this journey with me. Entrepreneurship is kind of like motherhood. It can feel lonely sometimes if you don't have a village. So I'm grateful that you're here with me, joining me as I share updates and as I talk with you about how to let yourself bloom. Once a month, I will have a feature called Let Yourself Bloom Stories, where I will talk about how motherhood and ambition can coexist. I wrote on here, Let Yourself Bloom and Moms with Ambition. Little did I know I would have to write it backwards so that it would read forwards. And for those of you that don't know, this podcast is also available on YouTube, so you can check it out there if you want to see the video. I will also be uploading a lot more video content to come, so stay tuned. I have been in Toastmasters since April, and it is an international club to practice public speaking. I've gotten a lot better as I've received feedback from others and learned really how to engage an audience and use certain techniques to really focus on delivering messages or storytelling or just the purpose of your speech. It was that inspired my Let Yourself Bloom stories segment. I have since done some daybreak storytelling nights where we've had people in the community share stories, and I've shared some stories as well. This was reminiscent of a storytelling night a few years ago where I hosted the storytelling night where people had crafted stories beforehand and joined us to share them live. If you want to check this out, it's in my old podcast, B is for Adversity, in the archives. I'm so excited to share with you that my book, Let Yourself Bloom, will be coming out on, drumroll please, August 23rd, this month. I cannot believe it. Oh my goodness. It really does feel like a dream telling you about it because it doesn't feel like it has been that long since I wrote it, because I wrote it in April. That's right. Only 6 months ago, not even 6 months ago. And now it's going to be a published book. It will be available on Amazon, Barnes & Noble, and lots of indie bookstores. So be sure to check it out. And I invite you to come to my book launch party. It will be on August 23rd, a Friday night from 4 to 8 p.m., open house style, at a place called, get this, Stay in Bloom. How perfect is that? I'm so grateful that my friend shared that location with me. It's in Draper. It's the cutest little shop where they sell flowers and gifts and all sorts of little things. They also host gatherings, certain cookie classes or women's nights. So I thought it was perfect for my book launch. I will be there signing copies, and we'll be having a puppy-themed party to celebrate this milestone. I also hired a videographer because, again, I'm just very into video these days. And she will be making a video for me of this experience. My publisher jokes that writing a book is like having a baby. And it's really true. I feel like I'm in the last few months of pregnancy with it just being right around the corner coming out and all of the aches and pains of editing. And my publisher has definitely been my midwife through all of this. I can't wait to actually have it released so that I can focus on other things, other elements of my business, this podcast, and really just getting more balance back in my life. As much as I try to avoid filling my life to the brim, that is a tendency of mine. And with editing on top of it, I have definitely been stretched to the max. So I am looking forward to paring down, realizing what matters most, and really just having a lot more time available. There's the joke too that what is free time when you're a mom? But there's a book called The Fringe Hours, and I would love to have my fringe hours back to be working on hobbies and interests as I encourage women to do in the book, and not so much on entrepreneurial or editing as I have been these past few months. All in all, though, it has been a great summer. I have truly loved so many aspects of this writing journey. I thought I would only love the author adventure, but really editing has had its moments of joy, and learning how to market and rebrand has all been incredible. I would love to share a little sampler with you of my book. I will pull it up here and just read you from one of the chapters. It's called From Weeds to Flowers, Guilt and Intention, Watering the Weeds of Guilt. I hear women talk about mom guilt. These feelings often arise from the internal and external pressures to meet high standards of motherhood, balance work and family life, and fulfill societal expectations. Guilt, like fear, is just a weed that's growing. It's a window into a need or desire. I don't really have mom guilt. I know my children are getting the care they need and having the necessary experiences for growth. What I do experience more often, however, is spouse guilt. This still is a window into how I wish my husband would care for and help me. After my husband and I had been married for a year, the newlywed love began to fade a bit. We were still obsessed with each other, but it turned more into a practical sort of love. I had Jared read about the 5 love languages, and we determined that his highest mode of receiving love were quality time and acts of service. Mine were words of affirmation and gift giving. I tend to show love in the way I receive it, don't we all? So I always made sure to leave him little notes and gifts in his sock drawer, on the milk jug, by his pillow, the whole 9 yards. He very rarely reciprocated because he showed love the way he received it, spending time with me on a date or vacuuming the living room. I had heard my whole life that a man would complete me. He would be my other half. I had also internalized that both of you bring 100% to the relationship. I began keeping score, noting how much I did compared to him, how often I poured out my love and how infrequently he did from my perspective in how I interpreted love. I began to feel more and more empty. I read about the love tank in the book, The 5 Love Languages by Gary Chapman, and decided to make a paper representation of how depleted I felt at any given time. I made it look like a gas tank gauge, complete with an arrow fastened with a brad to indicate how empty or full. I colored it and taped it right above our light switch. Look how helpful I was being. I could help my husband see when I needed some extra love. Unfortunately, it had the opposite effect. Who knew? My husband saw it as a way for me to control him, and I ended up feeling more alone in my marriage than ever. We hear that communication is important, but we're never really shown how to communicate. After wallowing in self-pity for a time, I pulled up my pants and got to work meeting my own needs. I found it was so much easier that way. I knew exactly what I needed, in exactly the right way at the right time. I began buying myself gifts, purchasing fresh flowers, going out with friends, hosting get-togethers. It was a dream. My cup was the fullest it had ever been. I fell into a pattern of independently getting what I wanted and went on that way for a while. I began to expect that he couldn't meet my needs, and I relied only on myself. In doing this, I started to sever my connection to him and build a wall in our relationship. At the time, I didn't even see this. I wasn't aware that by removing him from the equation, I was rendering him entirely useless to me. I shared with a mentor how good I'd gotten at getting everything I needed. I told her about my upcoming plans to book a trip for my birthday. She reminded me to give my husband the opportunity to assist in fulfilling my desires. That was a wake-up call. All of a sudden, I could see how I had cut him out. By meeting every single one of my needs alone, I was denying him the opportunity to even help in the process. I saw the times that I had bought myself flowers for the morning of Valentine's Day, only to realize that he had brought a bouquet on his way home from work in the evening. I had gotten babysitters without even consulting his plans and availability first. I had preemptively bought a used laptop 3 weeks before my birthday, only to learn that my husband had plans to order me a brand new one as a gift. We know there is danger in the extremes. I had entered my marriage with the expectation that he would meet every one of my needs. I had then shifted my belief by owning all the responsibility to meet my own needs. When the pendulum is at either of the two ends, there is suffering. It is only in the middle that we can find healing and love. By voicing and naming our desires, we see what's possible, and then we can come together and find a beautiful balance in how to meet them. I used to feel a lot of spouse guilt when I would participate in social activities outside of the home in the evenings. I craved and needed connections with others, but I would feel bad that my husband had to do bedtime routines with the children after a long day of work. A friend pointed out to me that I also had a long day of work with the children, and that it was healthy to take turns helping with the second shift. My husband and I came to a decision that he would take care of bedtime on a couple nights of the week. I would take the other nights, but request help when needed. It helped to know that I could count on those days at a minimum, guilt-free. Where are you in having your needs met? Are you on either side of the pendulum? Somewhere in the middle? Oh, it's fun to read my own book. I am excited to do the audio version because it will, be my words, my voice, and I will have that available soon too. The book is a blend of memoir and self-help, and it's filled with personal stories, but also practical tools to help you create the life you want. It emphasizes being multidimensional and offers insights on balancing motherhood with self-acceptance. If that story resonated with you, you can stay tuned for pre-order details, and I'm excited to share more of my book in upcoming episodes. I want to hear from you. If you have anything to share with me or say, your thoughts, questions, and stories on social media, I want to hear them. Let's build a community of women who support and inspire each other in our dreams. I'm always looking for guests. I'd love to hear how you hold being a mom and your ambition. So reach out to me. I'm on Instagram at letyourselfbloom_ with Jen Banks. Thank you so much for tuning in to the first episode of Let Yourself Bloom. I will try to keep these episodes somewhat short just because we're moms. And there's so much to do, so much vying for our attention, so much we can give ourselves away. But thank you for listening to this podcast and giving back to you. In our next episode, we'll be talking to Susan Hard for our Let Yourself Bloom Stories feature. She will share the relatable journey of balancing her personal aspirations with motherhood. You won't want to miss it. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep growing, and let yourself bloom. One last thing before we go. I have this deck of table topics. They are inspiring women for girls. I will put the link in the show notes. They are a fabulous way to have some conversation starters and to really get you thinking about some profound questions. I also love that they are by inspiring women. So I pulled a card for myself, and this is by Helen Keller. She says, "The best and most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart." On the back of the question, and it says, "What are you thankful for?" I've been thinking a lot about this as I am preparing for my videography moments on Friday. And I really want to show and capture all of the moments of motherhood. I am grateful for all of them. Just like I spoke about in my former podcast, A's for Adversity, challenges refine us and make us so much better and stronger, resilient than we were before. Even though it's not very fun to go through those things, I always look back and I'm so grateful and thankful. I have written a list of moments I want to capture, both the good and the bad, the hard and the easy. All those moments produce our highlight reel, REAL. I don't just want a video of the good moments. Of course, those are great to remember, but they're easier to remember. I want to remember the hard moments too, that motherhood is a sacrifice and it is hard, but also it is full of joy and we can do it. I talk about in my book how I wasn't as prepared for motherhood as I could have been because I did only see the highlight reels, REAL. I saw the good moments, the happy moments, the cherishing moments that are so abundant in motherhood. But I wasn't as aware of the hard moments, the around-the-clock care, the effort, the tantrums, all the 3 children saying mom at the same exact time, them hanging on your limbs, and those endless tears, both from me and my children. So that's what I'm grateful for. I'm grateful that there is the good and the bad, and that they help each other out and they sweeten the hard moments and they make us grow and change and learn alongside of our children. I will be sharing one of these every episode, and I will be asking each guest a question randomly from the deck. So stay tuned. Thank you for joining us on Let Yourself Bloom, where we embrace the beauty of balancing motherhood and ambition. I hope today's episode has inspired you to nurture your dreams while being the incredible mom that you are. Remember, it's not just about finding balance, it's about thriving in all aspects of your life. If you enjoyed today's conversation, be sure to subscribe, leave a review, and share this podcast with other amazing women. And if you're the kind of person who loves to watch podcasts, you can find this podcast on my YouTube channel at LetYourselfBloom_ with Jen Banks, or on the Ride the Wave Media Podcast Network YouTube channel. Remember to stay connected with us on social media at LetYourselfBloom_ with Jen Banks and join our community to keep blooming together. Until next time, keep dreaming, keep growing, and let yourself bloom.